All right, guys, just got done with the dyno runs on this asphalt Talon here that my wife runs around the pits when we're at races. We didn't want to do a crazy radical build on it at all, so we thought this would be a good car to just take. It was 100% stock. I put this HMF slip-on on it, which again isn't the freest flowing slip-on in the world. It's kind of quiet, quieter one. It's got a stock header on it. We basically threw the KraftWerks Stage 1 cam in it just to get the data to be able to share with you all on what a cam actually can do, or what it does. So it's not always about peak horsepower, and I'm going to show you that here in just a minute. But again, this car's a pretty much stock car with a bunch of accessories on it. Engine, drivetrain, completely stock. We'll go into try to give you a fast explanation here. So you're going to notice the peak horsepower and peak torque of each cam. The yellow one is with KraftWerks Stage 1. The orange one is with a stock cam. Again, yellow one is, that particular run is engine torque. Orange one is the stock one. I hope I didn't mess that up too bad so you guys understand. So when you go up here, the yellow and orange basically are the two different runs. So with the yellow run, the blue line is torque. With the orange line, the purple line, or with the orange line, the purple line coincides with that, with torque. So you go over here, and this is where kind of when people advertise, put this part on and it makes 3 more horsepower. Well, the question is, where does it make that horsepower? And why are you just advertising peak horsepower? Well, it's just something that the industry has accepted, that they want to know how much more horsepower did I make by buying this exhaust or that cam or this intake or this header. So when it comes to a cam though, what we're going to look at is we're going to go down here to about 4,500 RPM, 4,700, 4,800, right in here. Look at the horsepower versus with the cam versus stock cam. 46.6 versus 25.3. Let's get it down here. 4,700 RPM, 45.9, 23. And you see the yellow versus the orange line coming up here. You see where this thing is making from basically 4,500 to 5,500 RPM. It's making significant horsepower and a decent amount of torque, more than it does stock. You get up into the mid revs. We're going to call the mid revs about 6,000. You're only talking about a horse and a half, about a little over a foot-pound. It's going to come closer together, up to about the 7,000 range before it starts separating again. And you're going to see a couple of horsepower, a couple of foot-pounds, and it's going to grow. It's going to grow a little more. You get out here into the 8,000 range. You're talking about almost 5 horsepower, 3 more foot-pounds of torque. But here's what's interesting. So I didn't shut these cars down until you see this little goofy dip and riser here. That's where I had to let off the gas. And so, thanks for the windows pop up. And so, I'm still on the gas clear out here, 8,700 RPM. It's making 20 more horse, still making 80 horse at 8,700 RPM versus stock. It was making 60. It goes from 36.4 foot-pounds to 48.1. It's the broad range that it gives you, that you can't really advertise for like a lot of these performance parts companies like to do. If you go to KraftWerks site or Crowler site or Hess's site and you look at their cams, they're probably going to say plus 5 horsepower, plus 7 horsepower, plus 3 horsepower. But on a cam in particular, you really want to see where it makes power, where it doesn't, how much it improves where it makes power, where it doesn't. Is it in your drivability zone? I mean, with a DCT, you're probably almost always in that 4,700 in a trail ride, at 4,500 to 6,000, range. If you're not wide open throttle, that's, pretty much where it lives. And look at the drivability difference. I mean, you're talking 20 horsepower, probably an average of 17, 18 horsepower and 7-8 foot-pounds of torque. 20 foot-pounds of torque, at its biggest range. Through the middle revs, you know, you'd probably be more wide open throttle here. Again, you know, that 6,000 to kind of 7,000 range. You know, they're within a horse or two, foot-pound or two. But after that, you know, if you're staying wide open throttle, you see where they grow again. Not as much as at the beginning of the run, but it gets pretty significant out here. You know, 80, 8,500, 8,900. And with tuning, you know, you're going to be allowed to rev this thing out to, you know, 90, whatever you ask him to set the rev limiter at. But I think we're around 9,500, so, or 10,000 maybe is where he set this thing. So, moral of the story is that it's not always about that. It's not always the 4 horsepower. It's not always the half a foot-pound of torque. It's about where it comes in, how long it stays in. Is it improved all the way through the curve? Does it improve at the other end of the curve? The other thing you're going to find is that with any decent camshaft that's made out there today, they're all going to have potentially different characteristics. But you're also going to find, you know, like the bigger cam, maybe like KraftWerks just makes 2. They make a stage 1 and a stage 2. That's probably about how it should be done in the Talon world, because if this was like a vehicle, like a, you know, LS or something like that, they don't typically do stage 1, stage 2 cams. If they do, they give you their spec. And here's the thing, there's a lot bigger lift, duration, lobe separation, all kinds of things you can do in an automotive V8 cam, where the Talon is a, you know, a bucket and rocker style overhead cam. You're severely limited on how much lift you can put in. In the automotive world, they would laugh if you tried to make multiple stages of cams with different lift out of the little bit of lift you can get out of these things. But anyway, nonetheless, some people make stage 1, 2, 3. Some people make stage 1, 2, 3, 4. It's kind of a UTV world thing for them to advertise them like that. They all will have some different characteristics, different driving characteristics. This stage 1 cam from KraftWerks, you know, if I was trail riding, I think this would be it. A lot of the upper stage cams are when you're getting the most out of the cam you can. You don't really see the big differences until you get in the higher RPM. You start seeing the big spreads like you do in this one down low. All in all, you know, not a bad deal when you take a completely stock engine with a slip-on and PPI tuning and make that much more power with a stage 1 trail cam. You know, it's probably delivering a decent amount of value for the buck. I'm sure there'll be a million questions in the comments. I'll try to answer them as I go.